Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm David Gurr, part of the technology partner team here at Make.
And I'm Benjamin Poté, solution architect here at Make. Really glad to have you with us.
So today we're introducing something new that's been a really big focus for us, Make AI agents. We'll break down what they are, how they work, and when they make sense to use.
We'll also show you a side-by-side comparison of a scenario built with classic automation versus one using the Make AI agents. So you can see exactly how they behave in practice.
So here's what we'll cover. Firstly, a quick definition of Make AI agents, why they exist and what you can do with them, key differences between traditional and agentic automation, a live walkthrough of a use case, and lastly, how to try this out and give us feedback. So, what are Make AI agents? The short version is that these are agents that can reason, adapt, and act using Make scenarios as tools. You give them a goal in plain language, and they figure out how to get it done using the tools you've already built. So, why did we build this? Well, a lot of people wanted more flexibility with automation, especially when it comes to input that's hard to predict. And at the same time, you told us that you don't want to give up the structure and power of the Make platform. This brings both worlds together. Now, where is this at the moment? Well, we're currently in public beta. That means that it's certainly usable today, but it's still evolving. So there's a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, features may change. We're actively seeking and gathering your feedback. And thirdly, while it's usable, you might decide it's not quite right for your own production use just yet. That's okay. What's important is that you can try it now and help shape how it grows. So let's talk about what AI agents can do right now. Firstly, natural language understanding. Agents can interpret fuzzy prompts like show me all contacts from marketing or add John's email to the list. You don't have to cover every single phrasing, and they can also easily recover from misspellings. Secondly, tool orchestration. Think of sub-scenarios that you've already built for key record sets in other use cases, things like search, update, create, and delete. The agent can pick the right one based on the goal and the input. You don't need to build a huge parent scenario with lots of branches. And here's the kicker. This all happens inside a make scenario. That means it can still be triggered by any of the 2,500 apps in our ecosystem. It's not isolated or limited to chat interfaces. And it's also inherently multi-agent. Agents can use sub-scenarios themselves, and those sub-scenarios can include other agents or tools. You get a lot of flexibility without needing to rework your entire setup. But we're not stopping there. On the roadmap, we're looking at giving your agents added content and context via retrieval augmented generation capabilities, adding a native chat interface, especially useful for testing, and a long-term memory or history so that the agent that you build can learn and evolve over time. The key value here is that Make AI agents extend the business agility that you're used to in Make by bringing AI-powered intelligence, working with your existing tools to provide long-term maintainability. So let's pause here for a moment and talk about how agentic automation fits alongside classic automation. Classic automation is deterministic. It follows predefined paths. You know what it's going to do every single time. And that's great when your process is clear and doesn't vary too much. For example, a billing process is good fit for classic automation because the steps are structured and repeat in the same way each time. Agentic automation is non-deterministic. The logic isn't fixed. It reacts to what the user says or needs. And this is better when inputs are open-ended or when you want your system to figure things out instead of being told exactly what to do. Agentic automation is non-deterministic. The logic isn't fixed. It reacts to what the user says or needs. Now, this is better when inputs are open-ended or when you want your system to figure things out instead of being told exactly what to do. For instance, a quotation process works well for agentic automation because customer requests can vary widely, and the system needs to adapt based on the situation. Both have value. The key is knowing when to use which. Think about who's using the automation, how flexible the inputs need to be, and whether the interaction is a repeatable task or a more conversational goal. So, Ben, over to you.
Thank you, David. What we want to do now is to show you an example with Telegram bot to manage contacts in a spreadsheet. So we have a contact spreadsheet here, and the goal is that the user can add a contact, update information, delete a contact, search contacts, and ask follow-up questions. So we built this example in two ways. We used a classic scenario that parses the input of the user from Telegram and acts upon the request of the user. Then we used a different version with the AI agent to show you the difference between the two. So the first thing I want to mention is that to make this happen, we use what we call sub-scenario. Sub-scenarios are scenarios that can be called from other scenarios, or they can be called as tools by AI agents. So the goal of the tools is to provide different services that we can use and reuse in different topics, in different use cases. So for this demonstration, what we built 4 different sub-scenarios, one to create a new contact, one to delete, one to search, and one to update. So how does it work? In fact, we implemented the mechanisms of scenario inputs and scenario outputs. So it allows you to define different type of objects. So you can define them, describe them. You can put a different type of fields, etc. So in this case, it's an example of an input parameter for an update where the user or the coding application has to provide an email and to provide some data like the first name, last name, the city to change on the contact. And you can define scenario outputs. This is very useful if you need to get information back from the sub-scenario. And this will be super useful when we use the sub-scenarios as tools with the AI agent so that it knows what it did or so that it gets some data. So now let me show you what it looks without the agent. So what I've done here in this example is a scenario that accepts some inputs from users directly in Telegram, and it will make a few processes with the data that was typed by the user. So without going too much in details, I will show you how it works. So it still uses AI, but in that case, you can see with the different branches, different routes that are built, that it's deterministic. So we use AI to process this unstructured data. So we need to know if the user wants to create a contact, update, delete, etc. And based on the outcome of this AI call, we'll go to different routes. So if I go here, for example, say, okay, if the action requested by the user is search, then I want to go to this route. And we did the same for update, create, etc. So the other step was to use AI again to extract any relevant data and to figure out if we need to ask follow-up questions. So for example, if I say I want to create a new contact, I want my scenario to return to the user follow-up questions like, what contact do you want to provide? Can you please provide me the first name, last name, etc. And in the same scenario, what I do here is that I call the sub-scenarios. So one sub-scenario to search, one to create, etc. So this one, for example, will search contacts. So it will search just one single contact if we provided an email, or it will search for all contacts and get the results back. We'll aggregate them and return the results to the user. So we do exactly the same for all the different steps. So you can see already that the scenario is quite complex, and you will see how it's used now. So let's go to Telegram. Okay. So now let's ask a question. For example, say list contacts. So what's happening now in the scenario is that it interprets using AI my command, list contacts. It knows I'm searching for contacts. So it will go to the route where we list all the contacts and it will return me the results aggregated. So you can see here the list of contacts that are in my database. So we could do something like create a new contact with email. So I can make a misspells because it will interpret it correctly, right? So let's say John at acme.com. Okay, so you see now I'm just providing an email. I'm asking the question. So now the deterministic process that we created knows that it requires a follow-up question. So it comes back. So for the moment, we are fine in the way it behaves. It behaves the way we want it. So I will provide, I will say it's John Doe, city equals to Paris. So I type this. So it will do the follow-up question. It will interpret everything and it will create for me the relevant data. Okay, see contact created successfully. So now if I do list contacts, so you see now that we have new contact that was created. So it works fine. We called the sub-scenarios, we got the results. But what if I do something that is not foreseen in the scenario? So imagine I want to say list contacts living in China and provide CSV. Okay, so now I'm giving extra instructions. So I want to filter by city, by country, and I want to provide a CSV. In that case, in the scenario, because it's deterministic, we should have foreseen this type of request, right? We should have possibly made a further filtering on the data. And we have the cities only, so we have to figure out what city is in which country. But also we have to change the formatting. But because it was not foreseen, you see that it returns again all the data with all the relevant information, but not in CSV and not only for contacts living in China. So you see that there are limits. What we should do in that case is to enhance the scenario to make it more powerful and foresee different other type of questions. So now let's see what happens with an agent. I will first show you how we configure an agent. So this agent has been specialized in marketing. He handles contacts, he handles leads, and his role is to make sure that contact information is always up to date. And what we did here is that we added system tools. The system tools are all the tools we give the agent so that he can perform his tasks, so he can achieve his goal. So we provided updates, search, etc. And we gave a description to these scenarios. Allow to search specific contact from his email or to get all contacts if no email was provided. This is the case for this one, but the other ones have also a description. It helps the agent understand how we can use this type of tools. And now let me show you what it looks like directly in a scenario. So this scenario will use another bot in Telegram so that we can ask questions as well. And the only difference is that all the logic is done here. I don't need to add any other logic. So for example, here, we can see again the agent that we have configured with the different tools. And we can provide additional information, like use Markdown. We can give other information. We can also specialize this module, adding some other tools if we need. So we can give a thread so that it gets into the memory all the previous actions done with the same user, so it can remember what we did. And we can also provide another webhook so that we send the answer back to the scenario to the user. So you see here, the scenario will be called after to reply back to the user. So you see how simpler it is. And let's see what it looks like and when we are users. So here, if I go to the other agent, so I will do the same. I will say list contacts. So now it's the agent that will do the job. It will know that because we want to search and list contacts, it knows that it has to call the tool search contacts. Okay, so it provided me this information. But from here, I can already see that I can make more advanced questions. For example, show contacts living in China. So you see, in the tools, there is no way to filter by country. But still, because the agent is a LLM, it's using an LLM, it knows the different cities and the different countries they belong to. So it knows how to do this extra action based on the data it got. So it called the sub-scenario search contacts. It got the list of all contacts. And then it filtered out all the contacts that are not living in China. So what I can do also, I can say list contacts and provide a CSV file with first name and last name. And you see now it has provided me with a CSV, comma separated with all the data. You see, this was not foreseen in advance. What we provided is just the tools to search, and then it did it for us. So I can do also create a new contact called Jendo with email gg@acme.com, living in London, then show me the results. So you see now, really nothing. This is not foreseen at all. In the product, we just provided the tools. But see, now the contact has been created, and it provides me with the answer. Okay. So this is it for the demo. What you can see now is that when we don't use the AI agent, the scenario can become very large because we have to foresee and we have to determine all the possible outcomes based on what the user types, while with the agent, it's small. We have a much bigger flexibility with the input that the user type or that enter in the agent. The maintenance, obviously, because the scenario is much smaller, it's much lower with the AI agent than it is with a classic AI scenario. If we want to do multi-turn chat, like list me, create a contact, then list the result to show me, etc. So this has to be foreseen in advance. So it's harder to build. We do manual routing because it's deterministic. So based on the outcome of AI, we say, okay, we go to this route or this route using filters. And the update will be longer, obviously, because if we need to add new features, we need to edit and modify the scenario, while with the AI agent, it's just a matter of adding a new tool. So if you want to try now the agent, you can do the following steps. So you can first ensure the AI agent has been enabled in your organization. So if it's not the case, it's fine, it will be done very, very shortly. We should build first the tools or the sub-scenarios that will be used by the AI agent. And then you can create the scenario with an agent module, and you can prompt it with anything. In this example, we prompt with the user in Telegram, but you could have used any other type of mechanism. You could also create a completely independent scenario, a scheduled scenario, for example, that gets data somewhere and use it as a prompt for the AI agent too. And then you can try it with different type of messages. So we provide a lot of docs, documentations, guides, and videos to help you get going, all of which can be found on the Make AI Agent page. And if you have any feedback or hit a snag, let us know via the feedback form. The feedback goes directly to the team that created the agent so that they can iterate rapidly on it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. So, what can you try today? Well, you can build your first agent. You can connect it to tools that you've already made. You can run some tests, and you can see what works and what doesn't.
And one point to note is that it isn't meant to replace everything you've built. It's another tool in the kit, and we're really excited to see what people built with it.
That's right. And we've got more coming soon. More follow-up videos, deeper dives, and strategy-focused sessions all on the way.
Thanks again for watching, and we're looking forward to seeing what you build with the Make AI agent.